member items as well, Judge.
Mr. Bederow.
Thank you, Judge.
Honestly, go fuck yourself, sir. You don't say that, okay? You don't lose a trial where a jury acquits someone and finds overwhelmingly not guilty and say, I gave my sincere obligation to look into this, and I'm telling you all I saw when she's guilty. Again, respectfully, go fuck yourself.
Swear again like that. That was, no, I mean, whatever. That was, I shouldn't have done that.
A few moments later.
You, as a prosecutor, have got to be out of your fucking mind.
Nose.
Dude, Jimmy, look at those ears.
The ears don't bother me as much.
No, I don't trust a man. I don't trust a man with a lobe like that. No,
really,
not a fucking chance.
The mouth is butthole to me.
Very thin, paper thin.
The nose.
Oh, the nose.
The brows.
Well, listen, I will tell you though, I kind of like a fucked up nose on a guy.
I like a big old honker. I like a big nose.
Old nose. Give me that big bitch. You know,
yeah,
like, I'm into it.
Come over here, cluck cluck.
Yeah.
I see some chickens that went moving on up in my biz, cluck cluck, running. You gotta be with the kids, the kids, the kids, the kids, the kids, kids.
And I go, oop, clutch, clench, kegel. We did it all. And I go, oh, and what happened? And they go, well, we just got 4,000 plus pages, bitch. And I said, stop it. Show me it. Take me to Unimpound Town immediately, if not sooner. So what happens?
The bitch is here.
Why are you at a football game? Are you a Fonz correspondent?
Well, no, because it's only for men over 30. Okay? Have a great night, boys. Fuck off.
It's been 1 week since you looked at me.
Hey, Blues Clues, motherfucker.
Happy Sunday, lovies. Today is Sunday, February 8th, 2026. And we are here today, gathered together, peace be with you, and also with you, for a Super Bowl Sunday service. Are you ready? Are you ready for some football? Are you ready for some faith? Are you ready for Super Bowl 60 with the Patriots, Drake May behind me, and the Seahawks, whoever the fuck that is? Going to be a no one, in my opinion. Sorry, I said it. Who is here with us but our emotional support attorney, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Mark Bederow. Boop.
Hello.
And Winnie.
No, this is Lola.
No. And her name was Lola. She was a show dog. Good morning, lovey.
Want to get down? I think she wants to look down.
Oh. Does she? She looked like she was very comfortable.
Well, she's also very heavy, so yeah. But she says
she's a bit. Hey, excuse me. Are you saying that she's in Thickums season? Does Lola have a little Thickums like me and Auntie Deb?
No, Winnie's kind of fat, getting older, but no, Lola's fine.
That's okay.
What cats do when they get old, right? They move less, and I mean, they're already canine garbage cans, so they just will eat anything and everything. So it's okay.
And she's such a happy girl. Let her eat, okay? If it makes her happy, if those little garbage can cake cows make her happy, we give her what she wants. So yep. I see that you've wore today your tie law.
Have to be Super Bowl 36, right? That was the seminal moment. Underdogs, kind of a likable team before people hated them, and this Patriots team seems similar to that. And so trying to bring out the tie law magic. We'll see. And the Super Bowl 49 championship mug, which is the Seahawks Super Bowl, which was played in Arizona, where I will be tomorrow night, by the way. I'm trading in this 2-degree weather and negative God knows what wind chill for sunny and 80 for 5 or 6 days. So thank God.
Well, Jealous. Okay, thanks for letting me know. I will not be. I will be frozen to death. Because doesn't this feel like some sort of tundra magic, or like what is happening with the jet stream, the Arctic chill dipping down? It's like legit -20 outside.
It's been a couple weeks out here of constant cold.
Yeah.
Even by I don't remember when the last time we had this kind of streak like this. It feels like a long time, but it's been in the single digits and teens every day for feels like a couple of weeks. I mean, we still have several inches of snow on the ground, embedded solid over. I mean, you've seen some of this in the news. If you go to like New York City, they have mountains of snow that haven't been cleared, and now it's compacted and frozen. It's going to sit there for probably another month or a month and a half until it melts. It's been a hell of a winter out here.
Yeah. Also, let's talk some shit about that Poxitani Phil fucker seeing his shadow allegedly. I know he's only 20% right, guys, but it's still, I support his wife, Phyllis. She does not agree with him. Okay. And, thinking 6 more weeks of winter, can we collectively say enough? Like, enough. We feel good about it.
Well, I'll be thinking about you in the sunny 80s, poolside, palm trees, sunsets, purple sky. Yeah.
It's very, very hurtful. I'm very happy for you. At least one of us is making their way to a warmer climate as has deserved. So last week we gave our initial. Now this was prelim kind of guesses, our picks for the Super Bowl, for Super Bowl 60. And Mr. Bederow, your final score for today's game, for today's epic, historic game was 27-24 Pats. And I wanted to know, where are you at this morning? Has anything changed? And what is your final prediction for the final score?
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I think 27-24. We'll see. I mean, I think really the key to the game is the Patriots' defensive line, because the guy behind you that you're saying, who the hell is he, is Sam Darnold, who has had a good couple of years. He was a Jets retread. He was just horrible. He's the famous I was seeing ghosts against the Patriots in a Monday night game that my son and I were at years ago. He's really good, but he's also very jittery, and he turns the ball over a lot, and he's not good under pressure. And if they're able to really pressure him, he's prone to make a lot of mistakes, as opposed to if he gets time, he has the best wide receiver in the whole league. He's got a good running back. I mean, they're good. They're obviously good. They're in the Super Bowl. But I think if they can pressure him, he is a walking turnover, and that's the key. Hopefully they can just get to him and wreak havoc and score enough points. This is the first game the Patriots offense will be playing in good conditions in a long time. I mean, they've played in snow, altitude against these just incredible defenses. Seattle is a very good defense, by the way. But, mid 60s, no elements, California, good weather. That's good for them. So 27-24 Super Bowl championship number 7. Hopefully it better happen, because traveling the day after the Super Bowl is a very risky thing. I mean, I'm really going to be really, really happy or really salty and pissed off dealing with people on airplanes and airports and whatnot. So hopefully that's a happy trip.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just am really getting a little perturbed by the perturbed, yes, by DraftKings and by the lines on this, because I get it. Like, I get that the Seahawks are the favorite, right? But also we're the fucking New England Patriots. And may I say that for the people in the back, and a new dynasty is being born under the leadership of Mike Vrabel, our coach/player who has won multiple Super Bowls. He embodies the Patriot way. It is a new generation with Drake May, with his O-line, with the defense, with Cardi B. I don't give one shit. All I'm saying is this is going to be the beginning, in my opinion. I feel like it is destiny. I feel like it is fated. And for all of those whom bet against us, giddy up, because I think it's going to be a bumpy ride for your emotions this evening. And last week I had 20-17 final score of the Patriots win. And I am going to actually, I'm going to keep it. I think it's not going to be, oh shit, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should go I'm going to change it. Okay. I'm going to go 27 Patriots, 20 Seahawks, because of the weather, it will be higher scoring. But I think they're going to be making a lot of stops. I don't think it's going to be an over 50-point game in my opinion. And let's just see how that rolls. So instead of, my last week prediction was 20-17, and this week I'm going 27-20. Patriots win. Seventh Lombardi Trophy.
Your mouth to God's ears. Let's hope.
Woo! Hut. Let's go. All right. So that was exciting. I got to tell you, I'm in a little bit of peak excitement, and I don't know why. I am in one too many pools. Okay. I have unfortunately really gambled in ways here that I was like, oh, she did $100. Who is she? I don't care. Let's go. Because I get 5 different squares in the one. It's like my friend from our local place. And I was just thinking to myself, we gotta go. We gotta go for the gusto. But if at the end I win $5,000, is it worth it? Yes, it is. So from my lips to God's ears, I'd like to win that square. And also I was in like a league for a whole entire season for our Patriots games. I didn't win one of them. I had to square every single, I got like 9-9 every game, or 8-0. I was like, son of a bitch. Can I get anything that actually looks appropriate? But I'm in for that one too. So I've got 2 different things going. You can't tell me shit. We're going to be winners. And if I hit something, you hit something's lovies. And that's not true, because God only knows what I would be able to do with it. But I've put my money where my mouth is this year. And I'm ready. You don't bet. You don't do any gambling.
I don't gamble. I don't bet. I don't do fantasy sports. My son is the master of fantasy football. He wins his league every year. They even gave him a ring this year.
Oh,
I don't gamble. I learned a lesson a long time ago. My father, I think we bet a nickel on some college basketball game. And he said, you want to bet a nickel? I don't know how old I was. And, if this other team comes back and wins, I'm going to win. And if not, you win. And we watched this game, and it was horrifying at the time, because the impossible happened in the outcome of this game. And when it was all over and I lost the bet, I got the real lesson, which was, it was actually on tape delay, and he knew the outcome before. And he actually did this to just teach a lesson.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I don't. I've never been, a gambler or anything like that. I just want to win. I don't want to sit there and think about money, dollars, or which player scores. Just win the game, win the championship. Everybody hates the Patriots. You love it, the whole sports world is just praying that they lose today, because the last thing they want to do is hear a bunch of obnoxious massholes once again sticking their chest out, talking about this and that and the dynasty and us versus everyone. And everybody just wants them to lose. And there's actually a funny component of this. If you live where I live, they're rooting for, a meteor strike and the game being canceled, because, they obviously want the Patriots to lose, in Jets country out here. But the idea of Sam Darnold winning the Super Bowl when he was, the Jets' supposed star pick, who was going to take them out of their pathetic 50 years of irrelevance. And he was so bad, and he was just always destroyed by the Patriots. And like so many other players from the Jets, they leave, they go elsewhere, and he's excelling. He's been, in the last couple of years, one of the best quarterbacks in the league, which is crazy to anyone who knows the history. So on top of winning, which you always want to do, there is that enjoyment of just, New England versus everyone, and seeing everybody just hate the Patriots so much. And you can't blame this on Belichick. You can't blame this on, you hate Brady. You can't start with deflate gates and nonsense and this and that. This team is actually really likable. Like the
It is.
first Super Bowl.
Yes.
They really are. And if you don't like them, that's fine. But you're going to have to deal with the fact that they're going to be around for about 10 years. So, sorry.
Agreed. I totally agreed. And I just to wrap it up, it's like, I don't get it. We're still, you have to, at this point, have a little bit of history. You can hate the Chiefs, right? I think that the Chiefs with their 3 and 4 was an ability to hate or hate on them, because people love to see you rise and love to see you be successful, but they don't want to see you stay there. And for this team, for this culture, for our New England, I think that this is exactly what we need to get, I don't know, to just feel the magic, to feel the spark. We are America's team. I don't care. I know it used to be Dallas and the Cowboys were America's team, but like, I think that the Patriots show that we kind of are, in my opinion.
Well, everybody loves a winner except the Patriots. Everybody hates the Patriots. But I mean, the Cowboys are always going to be that label of America's team. They're always going to have the most fans of places that are people that are not in the home city. And, obviously the Cowboys don't do anything these days. They've been
not a damn thing.
A Patriots Cowboys Super Bowl would be off the charts in the future. I mean, that would do just incredible numbers. But of course, that's going to require the Cowboys to actually do something that's been very difficult the last several years, which is win a meaningful game.
Quick question, Mr. Bederow. Do you have a I'm gay for May shirt?
I do not have an I'm gay for May shirt. I do not have an I love Drake May t-shirt. I may take care of that one the next time I'm in town. I do have one of those New England versus everybody shirts that,
yes,
kind of the thing from several years ago. I have my retro jerseys, that kind of thing. But no, I do not have an I'm gay for May jersey or shirt.
Okay, well, shocking and also rude. We would like you to maybe I'll get you one. Maybe you'll have a little something the next time you come. Okay.
I don't know that I would wear that one. I'll wear an I love May shirt. I don't know that I'm gay for May is not
happy. You're happy. Happy is gay. What are you talking about?
People get mixed double entendres.
A little mixed messaging. Yes, I hear you.
I don't want to be offensive.
Also, did you see, I'm sure you did, just I'll wrap this up, but like, did you see Maynard changed MAYNARD to MAYENARD? Fantastic.
I did. And, good. I mean, again, this team is very likable, and it's very different from, certainly the second round of Brady championships, where you would watch these games and you want to win, of course, but it was also, you were predisposed to Super Bowl win or bust. This is not fun. I don't want to even look at this, where this team is fun to watch. You don't know where it's going. They're probably not the best team talent-wise. They just seem to win. They seem to enjoy each other. The coach, it just seems more like the early, again, the first time they beat the Rams team, everything just seems more likable. Even our first lady, right? We've gone from, Giselle to, what do they call her? The Queen of the North, Drake May's wife, who is like, basically the first lady of all women. She's just, they seem like such likable, wholesome young people. He's 23 years old, and he's, look at him, and it's insane. And he probably got robbed of the MVP, whatever. Not important, but the franchise is in really good hands.
It sure is. And also, I wanted to just acknowledge Steve Moore. He wrote Dracula, but I know exactly what he meant, Drake It, because Drake It is my place of residence, and changed it to Drake DRAKEUT instead of DRACUT. So hilarious. And And I had seen that Maynard said, like, tweeted out to Drake it, your move. And it was hilarious. So very funny. And that is it. So that is our wrap up. Again, final score from Mr. Bederow. Mr. Bederow's pick, Super Bowl 60, is 27-24. Patriots victory. Nurse Kim picks is 27-20. Patriots win. There it is. Now on to our super service. We have a lot to run through. We are late this morning, Mr. Bederow. Let's tell everyone why. Okay, because there was a little communicado issue between you and I this week where you had it in your calendar and I send you a little texterino on Tuesday and I say, are we on for Saturday? No, are we on for Sunday Super Bowl service? And I get nothing. Stugatz in return. Then it's approximately 6:26 this morning. I get, hey, send me the link. And I go, oh, the link, good sir. We haven't even spoken. So anything that you'd like to say about maybe I don't check my text messages from Kim? Sorry.
On the advice of counsel, I'm going to refuse to answer the question on the grounds that any answer may tend to incriminate myself. We're here.
We are. We sure are. I said, well, I can make this happen. I just need an extra 30 spot. Why? Because I'm a wackadoo, and we know this. So, and I was busy trying to put names in places.
I'm not going to confirm or dispel the facts as you've described them, but I will say I'm sure other people assumed that it was 30 minutes later because you were late. That's not true. I will give you that.
Thank you.
That's
Thank you.
not the case.
It was not I today, my loves. And Becky RN says, Lola says to plead the fifth. And we are going to, we'll allow it. We'll allow it today. Good old Lola girl. So last week, Mr. Bederow, we talked about Epstein. There had been the dump of over 3 million pages of documents and over 2,000 video evidence. And now that it has been like a little bit more than a week, 8 days, I believe, since this has been released to the public, I am at a fever pitch of disgust. And I know that we're not even touching or tapping into probably the surface of anything that could be found here. I wanted to get your take if there is anything that you saw that came out in the documents, the photos, the change in decision, I guess, from the Clintons saying that now they would like to testify. What are your thoughts on this?
As far as what's released, no, none of it surprises me. Frankly, the stuff that gets released is just stuff that they've deemed essentially investigatively done. So they're not going to release anything that could involve anything that's open or potential, could be investigated, that sort of thing. So if you think that this is the full world of what Epstein, Maxwell, and the rest of them did, that's not the case. But as far as am I surprised at how disgusting all of these people are? No. But I also think people need to get a little perspective. Epstein is not alive and living in Tel Aviv. Like, stop that. That's not the case. The other thing is a lot of the things that are released are witness interviews of people who, might have, like before the election in 2016, given information that was either harmful to Trump or Clinton or whatever. And they're just claims of people that may or may not be true. And you're seeing a lot of people, political operatives, who take an allegation made against either side, by the way, right before an election, claiming they're doing this or they're doing that and stating it as proof or fact. That's not responsible either. And that's not to defend any of the people being accused. It's not to defend the Epstein people, but you have to keep a little perspective about what are you looking at, and does it become per se credible because somebody claims it. I mean, you have to go deeper than that. But I'm not surprised that, you would see all of these people being implicated. But to me personally, the stuff that's being released is not what's interesting. I'm, interested in other things that are not public and involving, I mean, some of the cast of characters, you may see some public stuff, but it's much deeper than that. So I don't put too much stock into what's being released, other than it does cause people to, recognize what a sick pedophile almost certainly Epstein was. Can we put an end to this idea that, Ghislaine Maxwell is some kind of innocent victim in all of this? She's a monster. Let's be honest. The other people, some of them still have to be adjudicated one way or the other. So that day hopefully will come.
Absolutely. There is a pit in the stomach, I think, of a lot of Americans, and again, non-politically motivated, just bad guy motivated for me. Crimes committed, pay for them. I don't give a shit
Whoever it is.
You are.
Yeah. And again, yeah, I mean, whoever is out there, absolutely, political party, current office status, past office status, Hollywood legend, Grammy award winning, whatever, just go where it is. But also people have to recognize it's complicated too.
Yeah.
A lot going on here. And this has been really sloppy. I mean, the rollout of these documents have been really sloppy. And, you can say, well, why didn't these come out years ago? But the reality is, in the last several months, you have to blame the current government for the way they've handled this. It's been just atrocious and caused everyone to just assume that there's no transparency, there's no legitimacy. Why several months ago remember there were binders of this list, whatever that was, to these influencers, and it was all nothing. Then they said they didn't have anything. Then you had the FBI director saying there's no evidence of anything that we're aware of. Then you had a deadline that was missed. Then you had these documents come out, some of which were redacted properly, many of which were redacted improperly. You have this fiasco with the subpoenas and whatever. This is all just, it really is not being handled well at any level. And it's unfortunate, because there are people who are real victims who need to get justice from all this, and this fiasco doesn't help.
Correct. And the mismanagement of even the redactions, the mismanagement of protecting the names of alleged perpetrators versus alleged victims is questionable at best. There is a lot that was left to be desired, in all of our opinion. And how do you clean it up? I don't have an answer. How do you clean it up from where the American people stand, looking for transparency, looking for justice, and seeing the way in which our Justice Department, our current government is moving through this incredible
There's only
situation.
one way. There's only one way to clean it up. You have to vigorously investigate any colorable claim against anyone wherever it leads, and ultimately be transparent in it. And if it means it's very uncomfortable to a lot of people who have political heroes on either side, or musicians that they worship, or actors or business people or whatever, you kind of have to make a choice. Do you want the bad people to be held accountable and give them their due process and all that? Or do you want to just sweep it under the rug and say, well, Epstein's dead, he's a bad guy, Maxwell's already in prison, and this is like salacious and whatever, but what's for lunch? You have to make a choice. And really what they need to do is go after any colorable case, any colorable defendant, and do it. And if they do that, based on, again, I don't profess to know everything, I just know certain things, it'll shock the hell out of you and it will upset you. But you have to You either want these people to be held accountable for terrible crimes, or you don't. And you can't.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. I did want to say I saw something online that I did verify and check, and made me a little bit happy. Okay, of in all of this, it's whose name wasn't released in the dump of information, and it was one of my favorite. He's no longer with us, but Tony Soprano, aka Jim Gandolfini. He was not like, and I said, "Oh, I love Jim Gandolfini."
Here's another thing about and this is why people need to be really careful.
Oh,
they release these, what they call files, and they're just releasing any and all information allegedly that's not being protected at the moment for other reasons that involves something to do in the orbit of Epstein.
okay.
That doesn't mean anybody who gets mentioned is a criminal. And, and far be it for me, to be the defender of, Michael Morrissey and people like him. But I saw online, and I didn't see this in the files. People say, "Oh my God, they mentioned, Michael Morrissey in some documents." Take a deep breath, okay? I don't think that you shouldn't assume that he or anyone else, because their name popped up, is somehow involved in anything nefarious because they were mentioned by this guy. Now, a lot of people who are mentioned, again, that checks. There are many people who are not mentioned that, I'm assuming they're being held back for now. But, if you see a reference to like Michael Morrissey because there was something going on in Norfolk County 10 years ago, that doesn't mean that he or anyone associated with his office is involved in this. I don't think that's responsible. It's worth noting, but whatever. There were references to George Bush and allegedly helping do this and kill girls or something, and I would just say, again, consider it, but have a little, take a deep breath, keep a little perspective, and don't assume that anyone who reports something, especially when it involves politicians, because there's always a motive for people, depending on who you like and don't like, right before an election and that kind of stuff. That doesn't make it true. It doesn't make everyone a pedophile. It doesn't make them a criminal, at least not for that. This is not a scientific set of documents that proves that all of these people did things. Just being.
Yeah, but like, wouldn't it? I 100% am hearing you, and thank you always for breaking it down so beautifully, like only you can. But like, I would get it if Morrissey was mentioned, right, and he was like local, or that there was anything that doesn't even make sense because Epstein didn't have like a house in Mass, or like it's just like, well, what? I just don't. I would just like to know what the communication was. Not saying that it's illegal, nefarious, whatever, but like, unless there was like, so are you saying that even for like small races, including Norfolk DA's office, that larger, like high profile people are donating to his campaign, like from around the country, or no?
I don't know anyone who's donating to his campaign. I mean, other than historically, basically a lot of people who work in the office and a lot of, state troopers. And, that's just a recipe for corruption of a kind. And, maybe you can get into the DA race, which got a lot more interesting this week. But just putting the bow tie on the list of this Epstein stuff, you can't, on one hand, talk about these famous cases and say, "Oh my God, I don't want to rush to judgment. This person is being wrongfully prosecuted, and we have to use due process and all that." Having your name mentioned in a document because somebody said, "I'm going to have dinner with this person," doesn't translate to, "Oh my God, they're a pedophile and conspiring with Epstein to do terrible things." Now, there are people who conspired with Epstein to do terrible things. There's a lot of people. A lot of people you all know, you've heard of them, you know them, you watch them, you listen to them, you vote for them, whatever. But what I'm saying is when they document dump like this, that's not proof of anything. It's an allegation or even nothing. It could be just a document and there's too many people online. And again, even saying things about, people who I don't like, that's not proof. Now, there may be proof in other ways, but, even the fact that, for example, if it says that, Epstein emailed this guy and they went on a trip someplace, okay, noteworthy, but that's not proof of anything other than they went on a trip someplace. And, if you're all about due process and fairness, you have to at least not just use these documents as proof of anything. Now, hopefully, again, the real proof will be used, will come out, and these bad actors, living bad actors, because there's nothing you can do at Epstein that hasn't already, happened. Hopefully that will happen, but you're going to see, who knows, Ghislaine Maxwell is supposed to testify tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to happen. There is no way that she is going to do anything other than take the fifth. It's not going to happen. I mean, if she were to testify, she's going to incriminate herself. And, she has this, fakakta habeas petition claiming that her past conviction should be thrown out. She's a criminal, okay? And she's exposed for future crimes. So she's not going to do it. This kind of spectacle with the Clintons that you see, they're not going to testify truthfully. It's not going to happen, okay? For a lot of reasons. Then people say, well, why don't they subpoena Trump? That may come someday, but it can't come while he's the sitting president of the United States. There's a difference. But people that are clamoring, well, what about the allegations against him? Pursue them if they're real. Absolutely. But there is a difference in status when you can't, there are constitutional issues about subpoenaing the sitting president of the United States. Okay. This happened when Bill Clinton was president. If you remember, when all the allegations with and all that other stuff were going on, and it was complicated when he was the sitting president. Okay. So no one should be forgotten or forgiven, but Congress cannot subpoena the sitting president of the United States. That doesn't mean you should get a pass if there's evidence that he did something. Okay. So this is not a litmus test on do it. If you're doing it to the Clintons, do it to Trump, do it to all of them. Okay. But stop the belief that the Clintons are going to come in and give a sworn statement. And some people are saying, oh my God, they're going to blow it up. They're going to tell everything they know about Trump and Epstein. If you look at what both Clintons have said historically, there's nothing to tell because they don't know.
They don't know.
According to them, they know nothing. Now, if you believe that, good for you. But they're not going to come in and acknowledge involvement or knowing about other people with Epstein, because their claim is we just barely know the guy socially. And don't take my word for it. Go read Bill Clinton's book that came out less than 2 years ago where he talks. Okay. Now, is he telling the truth? No. But that's what he said. He's not going to backtrack on that. But to be very clear, whatever your feelings are about the current president, he shouldn't get a pass. No way. But they can't subpoena him while he's in office. That's just not the way the government works.
Yeah.
But he shouldn't get a pass if there are credible claims. I don't know whether there are or not. There's certainly a lot of mention about him. I get it. But you need investigations of anyone and everyone and hold them accountable. But as far as my personal feelings, I can only speak about, what I'm involved in or what I know. That's all.
Yeah. And I know that it's a different level. It's a different ball of wax. I don't know about it, but I do know that you have mentioned your interest is different than the Epstein angle of this case. Goes much deeper, way more coordination. Yeah.
You knew someone who was a victim of Jeffrey Epstein's horrible crimes. What are you going to do about it right now in 2026? What are you going to do? He's dead. You know, you're gonna pick from. Not everybody. It's about money, to be clear. Okay, I suppose you could sue his estate. You could potentially do any number of things, but there's nothing to do. Okay, but if you were a victim of terrible acts of people who were with Epstein doing things, but they are living, breathing, powerful people who lie, cheat, steal, and do other things, shouldn't they be pursued, whomever they are? I mean,
Yes.
what rational person with any sense of humanity would say no?
I can't think of anybody that like you're saying, has compassion for humanity, that is not an ideologue or is not so firmly planted that you can't see that people can be monsters, and they could have been let into our homes via the television, via our radios, via whatever else, our politicians and our votes. They could have been allowed, safety and refuge in our homes, and then we find out actually who they are. I say, get them all. Get them all.
Listen, go after all of them. Everybody gets due process. Let the system function the way it is, and then the chips, in a legal sense, fall where they fall. But the answer cannot be to just sweep it under the rug and do nothing based on political party or current office status or past office status, or wow, that's a real popular musician. I mean, again, that's a way to do it, but that's not a very credible or humane way to do it.
No, absolutely not. So that's kind of where that stays. Now, talk to me about the DA race and the interesting change, little heat up that we've had.
This is very interesting for a number of reasons. A lot of people, myself included, always thought that Morrissey was not going to run for a couple of reasons. One, he's damaged goods, and two, if you are familiar, especially in like DA local elections, he wasn't acting like a candidate. He wasn't out there. He wasn't raising money. He wasn't doing all the telltale things that people do when they're running for office. So then you've got a situation where, you have a couple of candidates running who are, reformers, outsiders, including someone who essentially investigated the DA's office, and that was going to get a lot of attention. By all accounts, I think it's fair to say he clearly became the front runner just based on name recognition and direct involvement in dirty things happening allegedly in Norfolk County. But everyone always further assumed there's no way that, the Norfolk machine, for lack of a better term, if that's even the right word, would put up somebody who would be the establishment, status quo DA candidate. And the person who's doing that, I think, is very interesting for a number of reasons. Number one, I have no personal interactions, even in my bizarre Massachusetts pro hoc practice, on any number of things. I don't know Greg Conner. I've never interacted with him. But what I do know is this. He's taken very seriously. As a lawyer, he's considered a very credible lawyer, a very skilled lawyer. In other words, people don't look at him the way many people look at someone like Hank Brennan, okay? The way a lot of people look at Adam Lally or Michael Morrissey. Now, he's been entrenched in that office for, God knows how many years, and that's all going to come out. But it's not fair to just immediately dismiss him as a Morrissey clone. But then you look a little deeper and you say, but he is an insider. And then you look deeper and you say, he has been stuffing many, many dollars in Michael Morrissey's pockets over the years, which is code word for I endorse him and what he's done. Okay. And these kids should be going after him on that. There is this word on the street that he passed on the Karen Reed case. That I don't know if that's true or not. He should be asked about that. And if so, why? Okay, what did you, and he should be asked point blank, do you agree with that prosecution? Do you support the way the state police handled it? And he may have very good answers, but people need to ask these questions. People need to ask him, why should we vote for you if you've been entrenched in this office for that many years? And why are you different than Michael Morrissey? Can you tell us what will you do differently than Morrissey? Do you condemn Morrissey for this, that, and the other? What do you think of that statement he made in August of 23? What do you think about this? So those are he may have answers for these. All right. Again, I don't think he's a bad guy or an unethical lawyer, but he's attached to this office and by default is associated with it. If people need to ask those questions. Now, look, he, by all accounts, handled a very clean case in the Walsh case, tried it very well. Again, he's a good lawyer, but he is. Why is he running? What does he offer that Deitch doesn't, or the Perkins and the other guy? The real issue is this. The concern I would have if you are, anti-DA and we need new blood. You need one candidate, not two or three. Okay. Yeah. And that whoever it is I don't live there. And I mean, I can have my own thoughts. It don't matter, but you're going to see that Connor is going to get, the Canton vote, for lack of a better term. Okay. Obviously people, by that. And he's going to have
establishment.
His core, and he's going to have, I don't know what percentage it is, because I really, I'm not there. So I don't know how offended the community really is about all these Norfolk scandals, but he's going to have his core group of that supporter and the establishment behind him and the Morrissey machine and all of that. And whatever percent that is, he's going to get 100% of that smaller percentage. And if you have other candidates on the other side splitting the vote, and remember, it's not one-on-one. This is a primary. This is a Democrat primary.
Yeah.
So whoever wins that primary is going to be DA. There isn't going to be a one-on-one race. And you can, and whatever your feelings are about, presidential politics, this is what happened with the Republicans in 2016. And when people said, "Oh, here comes Trump," and everyone's like, "This is like a joke. Why is this guy running?" And you know what? Like him or not, and most of us, may not. He had a core group, right, of people who, no matter what, were just going to support him, no matter what.
Yep.
He's running in a primary against Rubio, against Ted Cruz, and all these people, and Jeb Bush. And what are they all doing? This guy gets his 5%. This guy's getting his 10%. This guy's getting his 7%. And Trump had his core, 12 or 13%. Guess what? He wins.
Yes.
Okay. And if you are running Connor with that kind of, core support against these other people, I don't know what the demographics are. I don't know what the numbers are, but that's probably not a good idea. And if you think the answer is, well, one of them should just drop out, that sounds great in theory.
Yeah.
It's much harder in practice. Okay. You go tell one of these people who's been running for DA, okay, why don't you just drop out now and just, be a good soldier, because you're not the candidate who's going to win. So support this other one. That may be the right thing to do.
For the greater good, though, Yeah,
but there's always egos. There's always personal. And I'm the right candidate, not you. And the other candidate says, I'm the right one, not you. And it's not easy. And maybe they need to do polling and, internal analysis, and all of that stuff. But whatever it is, in order to win, I don't know if you need to go down to one candidate. That will dramatically increase the odds. But the difficult questions that have to be asked of somebody like Connor are you or are you not Morrissey? Will you criticize him? Did you pass? And he may not be able to answer these questions. What about the fact that you gave him money on all of these occasions? When you're a DA, will you take money from your assistant DAs? Do you see the problem with that? Will you take money from the state police? Will you condemn this? What would you do differently than Morrissey? What do you think of this? What do you think of that? What do you think of using tax money to bring in a special prosecutor in a murder case that you apparently refused to take, but Lally would? Do you think that was an effective use of resources? You could go on, and it needs the media to ask these questions. And he may very well have good answers. I don't know, but he's vulnerable in that regard.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really great way to look at it, because I know that we've talked about that before, of the small portions of the pie. It's when that pie, and especially in a Democratic primary, that you're looking at, the slivers are smaller and smaller. And when you have that establishment and then you have something new, you really have to there's a careful calculation there.
If these were different, and this is the problem frankly in a one-party state, which Massachusetts essentially is.
Yeah.
I mean, for the most part, if you had Perkins and Deitch running as Republicans one-on-one, and they have a spirited primary, and they pick whoever, and then they run one-on-one against Connor, then they're positioned well. But they're all in the same boat here, in the same primary, and no one is going to win other than the Democratic candidate, period, in Norfolk County. Yeah. I mean, it's, and what is one of the two, if they were to lose, what are they going to do? Say, I'm now going to try to run as a Republican, and then that party may say, I don't know, you're not really one of us. The reality is, whoever wins the Democratic primary is going to be the DA in Norfolk County, period, whoever that is. And that you may like it, you may not like it. So the reality is, I would be concerned that there are too many candidates once somebody other than Morrissey, who at least personally is a lot more credible than Morrissey, but is vulnerable because he is part of the establishment. He donates money to it. He's been in the room when these decisions have been made. He knows where the bodies are buried, for lack of I don't mean that literally.
Yeah.
I mean that, and it's been publicly reported that he wouldn't touch the Reed case, which of course is symbolic with alleged corruption in Norfolk County. So all of these things should be asked of him, as well as why you've given money to Morrissey over the years. I mean, that shouldn't be happening. That is just a recipe for favoritism and what I would call soft corruption. Look the other way corruption. Trust your people. Don't challenge what's going on. But that's for people, who have platforms to ask it, and voters if they care.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do they do DA debates there? I don't know. That would be a hell of a thing. I mean, I would love to hear, Deitch and Connor go back and forth, or what, the third candidate, if there's something different to distinguish between, why you should pick me instead of Deitch. I don't know.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know. Lovies, do you know if do they do debates for the Norfolk DA's office in Massachusetts?
And what kind of time do they even get? I mean, are you talking about a local election where the next DA is going to win with like 472 votes because nobody votes? I don't know. I don't know what the demographics are in terms of voting out there.
Right. Huh. And I actually have, thank you, Little Bit of Sunshine said, NK, you're going to invite the DA candidates on to interview them. I have invited them all. Deitch, I sent him a couple of posts on X. I got like really good engagement from them, but he did not respond to me. Or actually, have I checked my inbox? No, in requests. But then Dejuna Perkins, she was kind of going on another channel, and I don't think she's doing anything else. And there was a candidate named Craig, who I had reached out intermittently over the summer to, and he seemed pretty good, but then I haven't heard anything back from him at all.
I don't, again, I don't know your numbers or the demographics of how many people who watch you live in Norfolk County and can literally vote in this
Yeah.
or not. I don't know, but it's 2026. It's not like running a campaign in 1990.
Right.
And these people who need name recognition and need to engage with voters and do things, to not respond, in 2026 to people that have platforms that are easily accessible, that's foolish. It's foolish. That's a wasted opportunity.
Yeah, I was just wondering if there's nothing against it. Like, there's no reason that he couldn't come on and talk, right? Because like, forgive me for saying it, but Grant was like, "Oh, we can't go on and do your show, Kim, because of A, B, and C," and I was like, "Oh, I didn't know that."
Well, what is there any difference in talking to you or talking to the Boston Globe?
There's none. Well,
I mean, people may say, well, they're media and you're not, but
not me. Yeah.
they're, I mean, look, are you guided by like equal access or whatever? But that's easily satisfied. You would just contact Greg Connor and say, would you like to come on?
Yeah.
I mean, there you go, equal access. And they either,
equal access.
I
I'm
mean,
reaching out to Greg.
assuming you're, qualify as media, I don't know how whatever. I'm not a YouTube guy or whatever, but the point is, the way to do it, I think, would be to invite any serious candidate to come on and give them equal access. The way, TV media must do that. I mean, people like you could send a post on Twitter and tag all of them and say, I'm inviting you on either together or separately, each, whatever it is. This is not rocket science.
Yeah, it's really not. And I will do that, actually, just because you said so, Mr. Bederow. I think I will do a little bit of a post that says, hey, anybody, if you would like to come, I would love to have you on, and all of you can talk to your constituents.
However many, I mean, I know, there's obviously Connor, there's Deitch, there's Perkins.
Did you not? Yep.
I think the other guy, his name is McClellan or something. I don't know.
Frank, yeah.
And then there's somebody else. I think he's like a public defender in Norfolk County. I don't know how much traction he has, but I would invite them all. I mean, why not?
Right. I totally agree. I'm going to do that. I'm going to give it a whirl just to see. Let's see if anybody would like to. Let's give some equal access and opportunity to all.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that is interesting. And like you're saying, I think that it was kind of a shakeup to see that Morrissey, the Morrissey machine, that cog, that wheel that is the establishment of Norfolk DA's office, and the ways that have now slid a new cog into place. And who is that? And of course, he's different because he's not the same. He is different. But like you're saying, you can follow a trail backwards of the support of Michael Morrissey, the passing up of a prosecution of Karen Reed. And those are things we would just like to see. Hey, talk to me about that. Tell us as the people, we the people would like to know. And he could have beautiful answers. It could be beautiful.
Prepare yourself for the lawyer answer, which will be, I'm not at liberty to discuss, work product and internal privilege discussions about decisions that were made. But, it's hard to ignore the following. Clearly, the Karen Reed case is the biggest case they've had in God knows how long.
100 years, yeah.
And let's focus on Karen Reed case, the second case. By that time, you had been through the first spectacle and it was even bigger. And there's going to be a retrial. All right. Now, by all accounts, Greg Connor is the top trial lawyer in that office. And I believe that's probably accurate and true. That is the most obvious go to the bullpen choice for the second trial. Like, bring in the big gun, bring in the top dog. And they didn't. They kept Lally and then spent $500,000 of taxpayer money to bring in a ringer.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, I've been asking this question, why?
For years, yeah.
And the question is, why didn't they go to the closer, the big guy? Now, maybe there's a reason. It's been reported, at least in one, I think it was Vanity Fair or some, whatever it was, that the reason is because he wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. And if that's true, that's important. And the voters ought to know, were you concerned about this? And if so, why? And did you voice that opinion? And then why do you continue to support this? I mean, look, you, the Boston Globe, the Boston Herald, Mass Live, who, by the way, their reporter, I think, is the best reporter covering all of this stuff. Charlie McKenna, it's like covers all this, as far as I can tell, better than anyone on the ground over there. Ask the questions. You know, are you against this? Do you support this? And if, why is it? How are you any different than Morrissey? Why should you keep an entrenched 20-something year as honest a lawyer and as good as you are? If we need changes, why you?
Why stay the same, right? Why stay the same if change is what we're looking for? Yeah. And that's valid. That is, you're entitled to anyone. Yes, you as the voters are entitled to that information. You're entitled to that answer. You're entitled to ask.
Or you're entitled also to the non-answer. I mean, if the answer is I'm not going to tell you, that's an answer.
That says a lot. Yeah.
Whether they claim it's privilege or I'm not at liberty, a voter has a right to know that's your answer, as juxtaposed against someone like Deitch who says, I want to tear this thing up and rip it all down and start over and root out corruption and anyone associated with it. You know, if you're a voter, you're entitled to the information.
Yeah. Yep. They sure are. Now, I'm going to just I was going to change and go into a different topic, but while we had mentioned Karen's case and bringing up Greg Connor and him kind of passing that up, it brings me to this week, rather, there was a small hearing in civil court for Karen's civil case. And what was it? It was 20 minutes of 12 attorneys on a screen, and you're watching.
Before we dive in, can I just read a little bit?
It's time. It's Zabar's coffee time. You know, hold please. We will be switching topics right after this non-sponsored commercial. Bear with me, babes. Mr. Bederow's favorite song. He shall hate me after this is done. Zabar's coffee break. Get it. Make good choices, lovey. Happy Super Bowl Sunday, and go our Patriots. Oh, cereal. Absolutely, Maza. Hope your wings are in the oven, babe. Feed some bread to those Seahawks today. Make them look like seagulls, Patriot Way. Get it. Am I going to eat a Haribo at 9 in the morning? Hell yeah, I am. Don't make it weird. It's both, babe. I think Mr. Bederow has said, I'm done. That's about enough, Kimberly. Put a Haribo sour in the morning. Oh, Jessica, my angel. You are not stupid. Thank you, Noni, for my Zabar's coffee mug that I don't drink. I only drink tea. Oh, sorry, Mr. Bederow. Your least favorite song on the World Wide Web.
So awful.
Oh, I love it. EDM in the morning. We're telling Jessica, oh, you got a whole full, look at that foam. Oh.
Yeah, that's why it takes so long.
Oh, wow.
This is espresso. I love the Zabar's mug. I also, a lot of coffee goes in, some of it has to come out too. So, it takes a little time.
Takes a minute, yes. So, okay, I just want to tell Jessica this. Zabar's from my coffee mug. It says they do a whole advertisement on this little son of a gun. And this was from Noni for Christmas. Thank you, Non. She also got me this. She got me my starter. Like she's bringing me back to 95. Okay. When you can't tell me shit in this today. I am going to, I'm going to win. Okay. So Zabar's is a gourmet emporium. It has coffee roasters, world famous smoked fish, just in case, Jessica. It's cheese from every corner of the world, gift baskets, gift boxes. Our mezzanine has everything for the kitchen and home. It is at 2245 Broadway at 80th Street, New York, 10024. And if you are calling in the United States, call 212-787-2000 or visit at zabars.com. Now, do I know shit about this? No, it's Mr. Bederow. He got me into the Zabars.
Go to New York. It's on the Upper West Side, and next to Zabar's, they have the little Zabar's little bakery shop where you can get quality bagel, fresh cup of coffee, other stuff. Walk down a few blocks, go to Cinderella, which is another gourmet market. Go to Fairway, which is another kind of gourmet supermarket where you can get old ladies pushing carts, elbowing you out of the way. It's a classic New York City experience. So you can order online, but
you gotta go. You gotta go, Jessica. All right. So meanwhile, back at the ranch before we took our break, which is I love our break. I find it lovely. I think it gives people a minute to stretch. It's good. Or to get their next drink. Okay. So now transition from the DA race to Karen's civil hearing that was this week. She was not present. It was just the attorneys. I didn't even know about it until after it happened. I watched this 26-minute clip of it. And there is 12 on the screen, Mr. Bederow. No shit, no exaggeration. 12 different attorneys on a screen. I'm like, who's on first? Who's who? I can't even tell who is the state, who is the Karen's representatives. But then you quickly find out who is. And you hear a judge that says some of the most sexy, provocative time management things I've ever heard from a man on the bench. Hot bench, if you will. Just kidding. And then there was a revelation that the only deposition that is scheduled at this time is former disgraced Mass State Trooper Michael Proctor for April of 2026. Did you get to see any part of that? Did you watch my show? Or did you see that at all?
No. I mean, I'm following generally, Karen's civil litigation because it can have an impact on is involving the same cast of characters, but I'm not watching it as it's happening. I'm not streaming it or watching shows about it. I am aware, though, based on discussion, that Proctor has been scheduled for a deposition. I am aware that he claims he lost his phone and all of that, and that'll be a fascinating topic of discussion under oath, I'm sure, during his deposition about the circumstances of him losing his phone, amongst other things. I mean, that's a natural deposition to schedule. I mean, he's center to all of everything that's important to the case. So, it would be fascinating, when the details of that deposition come out in several months or whatever it is, to see what comes out of that, what information they may or may have about, the other issues involving his communications beyond the just disgraceful and sickening things that he said about Karen. It's now clear that he said that about other people. Some of it could be race-based, we've heard. We've heard that, there could be pictures and unauthorized information that he shared with other people. So, I mean, Proctor is just, look, if you think there's corruption in Norfolk County and you think everything's messed up, he's the poster child. It is what it is. So, it's not surprising the least bit that he would be first out of the gate for them.
Yeah. And I just did think that when there was conversation between the judge and Karen's team about time for discovery, time for responses, time for the way in which the process is supposed to be completed. He said, I want to be the attorney for Karen's side, mentioned that he was trying to follow everything with Rule 9, but the judge said, I'm here to help. And if you need things and you're not getting things in an appropriate amount of time, this is what I am here for. And I found it intriguing.
I am the last person you want to ask about the culture and rules of how you should deal in Massachusetts with trying to settle disputes party to party in writing or filing motions and doing it. Okay. All the trolls like to have a lot of fun with that. Again, I come from a different culture. I understand what Karen's lawyers are trying to do. The way real lawyers practice in any jurisdiction, if there's a way to resolve a dispute lawyer to lawyer without involving the court, you don't want to involve the court. But if the court is saying this is taking too long and you're not getting any answers and involve me and I'll help, then that is an overture to get the court involved, and they should. But again, when is the time to do it and not in Massachusetts? I give up. Okay.
Yeah.
Because apparently in Massachusetts, at least at the Twitter law school, it's offensive to, write letters to air out disputes and try to resolve without involving the court. So I'll just,
take a sip to that. Yep. Yeah. Okay. So I that's interesting. I did want to just touch on it again. It was only a 20-minute conference. I think they are going back. Oh gosh, I wrote the date, but I liked to hear that, Judge. I liked to see the attorneys, although I felt it was like, if 10 of them didn't speak, like what are we doing? It feels like a waste of time. Like, ever gone to a Zoom meeting or a staff meeting, like for my job, that like I'm sitting there with 200 other people and I'm like, for what? I have things to do. Like, hello, it feels a little much, but I liked it.
A lot of people are asking about the recent to-do about the inadvertent email. I see. I don't know if that's discussing or not.
Talk to me. Are you up on it?
I am aware that, as far as I understand, that there was a communication from lawyers on one side to the others and a blind CC to the client to keep them informed as to what's going on. And then there was an inadvertent email reply to all, a clear error, obviously, by Karen, which then went to the other side, which it was not intended to.
Correct.
And in a very responsible and quick way, Karen's legal team attempted to claw back the obvious discrepancy. Now, you can't unsee whatever you see, literally. We understand that. But I will say there is something grotesque and unseemly that the other side is now attempting to say, sucks for you. You blew privilege. Can't speak today. You blew privilege. We're going to use this. Maybe too much caffeine. We saw this in the criminal case too. Where the DA was trying to use, email or text messages between Karen and David. And, even as the defense was arguing, the judge said, stop. I don't even want to hear this. I'm not doing this. I don't even forget the law. I'm not doing this. Now, there is law on this point, and the parties are arguing, and they're each making their arguments. But, and let's be clear, I have no idea what's in the email. I know the plaintiffs took the opportunity to say there's something big that's inconsistent, and the other side is saying it's actually not different at all.
Right.
Don't know, don't care. I think it's just a terrible look that they're having an argument over whether a clearly inadvertent mistake, which they took immediate steps to undo and bring back. It was clearly an erroneous disclosure, and it's very dangerous to practice law in a game of gotcha, where in a literal sense, oh, you waive privilege because you did this. It's grotesque. Okay. And I don't know what the email is, and they know, and I understand they want to use it. I get it. But the fact that you're having motion papers go back and forth and a hearing scheduled over one inadvertent email. I just find it gross. Now, having said that, I mean, the lesson here is obvious, don't be CC, just, forward, this is the email we sent. That's a different discussion, but it's remarkable to me that in a high level lawsuit with everything that's going on and all the baggage, that the current argument is over whether, sucks for you, your client sent an email by accident, understandably. Now, again, shouldn't be CC. I get it, but I just find it all very unseemly.
And in civil litigation, it all feels a little bit of a setup, like you're saying, a gotcha. The gotcha is a little yucky.
I'm biased, obviously, because I'm a criminal lawyer more than a civil litigator. I mean, I have various civil litigations, but it's not my specific thing. They're the worst. I mean, just the contentious back and forth. It always tends to be, for whatever reason, more personal and worse in civil cases. I'll give you a perfect example. I mean, I have a pretty contentious set of Massachusetts cases going on. And, there's a lot of sharp elbows being thrown on both sides. Yeah. It's not personal at all with the lawyers, at all. I mean, everyone's, has a job to do. I think some of that was obvious, from our appearance a couple of weeks ago. It's not personal. Yeah. Lawyers all get along, all respect each other, but it's hard to see that in this in the civil case. It just feels, on a lawyer level, it's more contentious and personal and petty.
I'm interested to see how the judge. I'm just interested because I think this specific judge is seemingly appropriate, seemingly, in my opinion, level-handed, and let's hope that everything just remains above board, and that would be the best outcome, as always, for justice's sake. The other thing I wanted to ask you about was the tragic tragic situation regarding Savannah Guthrie's mother, Nancy Guthrie, and her being missing and taken, allegedly abducted from her home in, is it Tucson?
Yes.
No, is it? It
Yeah.
is Tucson. Okay. And, you know, this is an 80-something-year-old woman. She has medications for needed for sustaining life. There was a small amount of blood allegedly from the outside of the home that was determined to be hers. And there was 2 video messages sent by the family, including national news anchor Savannah Guthrie and her siblings. And the last one last night was absolutely heartbreaking to me. Now, saying, it was a very short message, but saying that they've received the message, or they received the ransom from whoever allegedly has their mother, but then saying that we just want to celebrate her, led me to believe the way in which it was said was very concerning for proof of life, or are we doing a celebration of life? You just want your mother's remains? I'm so heartbroken. I am devastated for this family. I think that to know that, I guess the request is $6 million and they said that they would pay it. What is your take on this? And what do you think the outcome will be because of how long has passed now?
So the first thought is, again, and this is just a greater indictment of everyone online and politics, and just so polarized and nasty. I don't watch the Today Show, okay? I'm not a fan of Savannah Guthrie, never have been, but I don't really care either. She's a well-known public figure whose mother is missing, and it is probably deceased. I don't know that, obviously, but I just, none of this feels good. But
No.
can we stop with the, she's anti this politician and pro this, and interviewed these people and sharing whether we care or not about her views or whatever. Her mother is kidnapped, is probably deceased. And somebody said, have I ever worked a kidnapping case? I tried a first-degree kidnapping case when I was a prosecutor, a month-long trial. Talk about that in a minute. That one had a happy ending. I don't think this one's going to have a happy ending. But can we just leave her alone about her political views?
Yeah.
And her, whether you like her or not, and just start with that. Nothing makes any sense with the case itself. I don't know anything. I'm not following it that closely. I mean, it's impossible not to, because it's in the news everywhere. It's in Tucson. Tucson's like an hour and a half south of Phoenix. It's much closer to Mexico. It's where the University of Arizona is. It's like the second largest area of Arizona. And this is like on the outskirts in the rural part. So it's not a heavily populated area and whatnot. To me, it's always felt like inside job, just based on a lot of things. And I know there's talk about, family potentially being involved. I have no idea. But when you have somebody who's, in her mid 80s, has a heart condition, a pacemaker that's not registering, blood on the ground, and, you're getting these letters going on a week later, I think the likelihood of this having a happy ending, if you define happy ending with the mother being returned to her family and saying that was a bad ordeal, is pretty low. I hope I'm wrong, but as far as these letters, I don't know how serious they are, if they're attempts to distract, throw off, whatever, to cover up that the family's involved, to make it look like a kidnapping or anything like that. As far as the family statement saying we'll pay you $6 million. This isn't the movies. How is this going to work? I mean, these people, suppose they're like, yeah, we're going to make $6 million. How are you going to do that? How are they going to get away with this? Right. I mean, if they return her and they get paid, they're going to get caught. And I just feel like this is a mess. I feel like the local authorities who investigated this are a little out of their depth in terms of we're finding cameras on the roof a week later. I mean, what the hell is that? Not responding right away. All kinds of things. I don't think this is going to have a happy ending, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't either. I was wondering though, is it like an hour and a half? Like, could it have been a cartel or something? Like, could somebody have ever known that her like mother, or that she was a famous person, or is there anything that could be?
It could be, but again, I mean, I see people online saying, "Oh my God, she interviewed, Victoria Joffrey, and so therefore, and her husband knows Jeffrey Epstein, so she's." I mean, stop it. I mean, just stop it. Okay. Again, this is what we talked about an hour ago with all this craziness, because you see something in these files and everybody goes crazy and thinks everything has to do with everything. Tucson is probably 60 miles or so from the Mexican border, give or take. It's a lot closer to Mexico than Phoenix. I don't know why a Mexican.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, again, we're speculating. I don't know. Something feels off. The idea of getting snatched in the middle of the night after getting dropped off by her family and nobody knowing for a day. And now they're seizing the car from, Savannah's sister or brother-in-law and searching their house. Something just feels really off.
Yeah, I felt that way to me too. I actually commented, someone was like, what are your thoughts on this? And this was before they had actually done the videos. And I was just like, the first video had come out, and like, I was just like, oh, that's just the body language and behavior of the sister actually looked a little bit sus to me. And I was like, huh.
I don't know, but look,
I don't know anything,
having dealt with a lot of extortion and people who are victims of extortion. If the goal here is to actually, give me $6 million and somehow I'm going to get away with that, the fact, and again, I'm going to news reports, who the hell knows how accurate or not.
Right.
If you want to get paid, you're going to have to give proof of life. And apparently that hasn't happened.
Yeah.
So it makes me feel like this extortion angle is a sideshow, and it's beyond cruel, of course, given the emotion. But I mean, if you want to get paid, no one's, first of all, negotiating with terrorists is a whole nother conversation, but that's your loved one. No, it's your loved one. You get them back. But I mean, what makes you think anyone's paying a dime if you don't even establish that there's something to pay for here? And if they haven't done that, a week later, and it's an 84-year-old woman who's not even that mobile, with a serious heart condition and a pacemaker that's no longer functioning, with blood on the ground, I mean, where do you think this is going?
It's not going in a positive direction. Her medication wasn't taken. Like, there are so many different there are so many different avenues here, and it is not looking great. Like it was someone who is 20 years old who doesn't have daily medication needs or life sustaining equipment in their body that is no longer registering. So yeah, those are
we also don't
very
know
bad news.
Again, we don't know what her estate planning is.
Yeah.
And if that's a mode, I mean, look, if there's something in her estate that leaves, not Savannah, who's wealthy, obviously, but the sister and brother-in-law, a ton of money, that would be highly of interest to investigators as a possible motive. these are things that we just don't know, but this doesn't feel like an actual extortion, kidnapping, return. Again, that's just based on my own thought.
It's not feeling like 1 + 1 = 2, which usually that is how and especially, God forbid, if no offense, if it was a cartel or if it was some sort of like, people that were very aware of what they were doing and how they were to do it. This is not following any of the guidelines that would be like, hey, we want this. We want to do this as quick as possible. There would have been proof of life. This would have all been within 48 hours, everything.
You need a motive. And if extortion is the motive, it helps to show like we want to get paid. I mean, like, the kidnapping case that I referenced earlier that I'm old, tried in 2003. That was a drug thing. I mean, the guy knew knowledge of a major Washington Heights drug ring. And I mean, he just got snatched off the street, bound, gagged, beaten, and held for like in a hole, like what you think kidnapping is from the movies, for a period of a week or whatever it was. And then somehow got away, and these guys all got caught because they're dopes. Cell phones. I mean, we always talk about cell phones, and this is back in the early days of but all their burner phones were connected, and then you could track that to another phone, to another phone, to another phone, and they came back registered to these people, and everything, like the puzzle just fit perfectly.
Wow.
And it was a very, connect the dots type of case. But that's an easy motive. What's going on here about, do they know that she's related to a powerful, rich, NBC news anchor? I don't know. Is it just a weirdo who's creeping around an affluent neighborhood out, in the foothills of Tucson, where again, there's not going to be much activity? I don't know. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know. And I do want to say that, like, overall, and especially when life is in the lurch and on the line, I just feel my heart goes out to the Guthrie family. And I will always want their mother, Nancy's safe return, and keep them in our thoughts and prayers as they're dealing with like such a horrific situation that no one should have to be put through, and in such a public sphere too.
Yeah, it feels just like a matter of time before this ends badly. I mean, we'll see, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I just want to keep until I can't. You always want to pray for a safe return, and that's that. Yeah. And she was such a faithful woman too. She was very devout to her church, and that's how they knew, because she didn't show up for her church, and that was like actually what the trigger and the alarm bells went off, because she never missed it. So just prayers for them. And finally, Mr. Bederow, I saw that you posted yesterday about the Lindsay Clancy case, and I thought it was incredible. I had reviewed some of the civil lawsuit, and I wanted to get your take on that as our emotional support defense attorney.
So I read the article in the Globe. I mean, I subscribe to the Globe for the sports, although I question that all the time. It's not what it used to be. No,
you most certainly should question that. Okay.
Really, really, really need a new Patriots reporter in the Boston Globe. You all know who I'm talking about. Anyway, but I click on the Metro section just to see what's going on, and there was this article about the Clancy case, and I just read it, and it was about all these warrants that were missed, and it's interesting to me, not just because it's a horrible, horrible case, but I have a couple of these of people accused of murdering family members where mental illness is clearly in play. And certainly from a lawyer's perspective, you always equate how is my case being handled and what's happening here. And the mental health issues in this case are clear. And that doesn't mean that she's legally not responsible or not. But, the first thing in any of these psychiatric cases is this bullshit or not? I mean, is this an excuse? Is this malingering? Is this whatever? And it's obvious that this is real. If you read this story, that this woman was essentially, for lack of a better term, crying for help for years and getting progressively worse and all of that. And then, you realize though, like when the horrible event occurred, she got rid of the husband and get him out of the house.
Yeah.
And that's very interesting. And that's almost certainly you have to know how prosecutor brains work, what they're so focused on, because the law is not favorable for, what, for lack of a better term, insanity defenses are, right? And if you appreciate the nature and consequences of your action, then, you can't succeed in a mental health defense. If you know the difference between right or wrong, again, that would show that you can't rely on this defense. So what prosecutors always do in any mental health case is look for consciousness of guilt, knowing I'm going to get in trouble, don't want any witnesses, don't want to get caught, and they will always pounce on that as this person knows what they're doing. Okay, so you take this woman, getting rid of the husband is, I don't want him to see this, I don't want him around. They're pouncing on that as some belief that, she knows right from wrong. She knows what she's doing is wrong. And so what the defense does in all these cases, these cases are very formulaic, actually. You get an expert and you get the person evaluated. And clearly in her case, the defense expert, which you hope you get, I always use the same guy, and the reason I use him is because he also testifies regularly for the government. He's credible. He doesn't say, how much do you pay me for an opinion? He tells you, that's important.
Yeah.
And I don't know who she has, but clearly she has a report and an evaluation where the defense expert believes that she's not responsible, due to her mental health, and basically can't form criminal intent. And in this case, the government disagrees and, has their own expert who's saying, no, she may be mentally ill, but she was able to form intent because she knows the difference between right and wrong. She appreciates the nature and consequences of her acts. And you're going to get into this. And these are the worst trials. In my situation, in one of them, thank God, the Queen's DA, they agreed. They actually agreed that the guy who literally murdered his father and his mother was not guilty by mental disease or defect, is the politically incorrect terminology.
Yeah.
And that was, a relief. The other one I have where it's pending right now in the Bronx, where the guy's accused of killing his 5-year-old brother, his father and father's girlfriend, is they're in the process of reviewing. We have the same defense, and you hope so much that they don't come out the way the Clancy prosecutors have, because if they do, now you're having a trial where the issue has nothing to do. Obviously this Lindsay Clancy quite literally did what she did. Nobody disputes that.
No one disputes that.
And the trial is just going to be psychiatrists and experts talking about this and what it all means. And it just, it becomes awful. And from the defense perspective, you're always concerned about jurors are just so appalled and can't get past this woman ended the lives of her own 3 kids and told her husband to leave. And I don't know. And I don't know if she has a meritorious defense or not. I know the allegations, I know what the defense is, but I don't know what the reports and what the witnesses will say, the experts. But there's only 2 outcomes here, okay, in a psychiatric case, neither of which, by the way, is good for her. If she loses, she's going to prison for the rest of her life. if she's guilty of murdering her 3 kids, you go to prison for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
If she's not guilty by,
Reason of insanity.
right, she's not walking out of court, people. I mean, she's
Be
going
back
to,
at Tewksbury Estate. Yeah.
going
where she
back
is
to a
now.
hospital. It's like a civil commitment, and there will be court proceedings every couple of years to monitor her. And the odds of her at some point in the next several years of saying, okay, she seems like she's doing well. Good luck, ma'am. That's not realistic. It'll be
paralyzed.
It could happen. I mean, it happened to Hinckley, right? It happened to the people who, shot Reagan and shot John Lennon. Those people eventually perhaps get out, but that we're talking decades, if at all. And it's not freedom, okay? It's not prison, but being in a state mental health facility, it's not like, hey, I'm going to go on a walk and see you later, and I'm going to go visit my family. It doesn't work that way. So either way, she's going to be in a literal prison or a proverbial prison in her mind. The reason I posted the article was it all just seems so preventable. I mean, there was all of these cases, they don't scream for help. I mean, in the case I'm dealing with right now in the Bronx, these signs were not so obvious. You see the article about the Clancy case. This was a woman who clearly had postpartum, was trying to get medicated, trying to get help, looking for help. And
She was medicated.
Scandal, and the inevitable conclusion here is, so horrible. And, just reading that article, it was terrible to think all were missed. And now there's 3 kids
That are not on this earth. Yeah.
And, her life is obviously ruined no matter what.
Yeah.
And I mean, this poor father, and I don't even know what his thoughts are. I don't know if what he wants. I do know she's like half paralyzed or something. Somebody I just looked over.
Yeah.
I know it's a disaster, but what I don't know is I don't know what the father's position is in terms of, does he want her?
He's in with the civil suit with her. So I think that he is still and in the New Yorker, he was saying that my wife got sick. Like, my wife is not this person. And I mean, I don't know, that was a while back. But my biggest concern, I know that the information from that Boston Globe article came from the civil suit. And it was 110% unbelievable that this registered nurse, who's a mother and infants nurse, right, at one of the biggest hospitals in our Commonwealth, went to emergency rooms, was out with being treated by psychiatric providers, which misdiagnosed her. They missed a bipolar. Then you're putting her on medications that are actually making her into a hypomania. She's not sleeping. She's overwhelmed. She is, and us not having sleep as new mothers is insane. I've been there. It's happened to me where I'm about to drop my basket myself. And she's also put on these multiple different psychiatric medications, from a atypical antipsychotic to an SSRI to a benzodiazepine, and they're just shoving it at her. She goes back to the emergency room. They offer her, which I was like, this was out of fucking pocket, to say you can go to a partial outpatient program, which is like a day program, 6 hours a day. And she takes that from women's women's and children down in Rhode Island. That doesn't work for her. She has to go back to the emergency room. She says, I'm having thoughts of harming myself and the kids. She gets voluntarily, not Section 12, she voluntarily commits to McLean Hospital, and she is there for New Year's. She doesn't see a physician for 3 fucking days. Okay. And she's in McLean's, where McLean's is actually physically the premier psychiatric hospital in our United States of America. There are studies, there are books that have been written, and courses that have been done of what McLean's Hospital has done for mental health. She doesn't see somebody for over 3 days. On the 5th day, she says, I gotta go. It's going to be my daughter's birthday. And she is defeated. She is physically defeated, going, I was just in the best hospital in this United States. She's a nurse. She knows exactly the same fucking way as I do, as a mom, as a nurse in the Commonwealth. You know, I just went to McLean's and I am nobody can help me. Nobody is going to help me. They put her back fucking on trazodone, which was like, okay, so now we've cycled and we're going in and out of different classifications of medications. We're weaning her off the Seroquel, increasing her trazodone, which was the initial problem, red flag in the community that made her activate into a bipolar state, allegedly. Never was she put on, besides at like for one tiny little outpatient frame, was she put on a mood stabilizer, which is exactly what you would do in a bipolar situation. But you were just continued to add and add these drugs onto her. And then the saddest part of it all is in that time frame, you don't need to be, her husband Patrick could have gone to go get food for her, and she didn't have those feelings. But then once he left, I understand it doesn't look great. I'm understanding that. But at the same time, if you have the obstinate, if you're hearing something and she's saying, go to God, baby, and that says it, you know, like I broke down, like literally when I couldn't even do it online because I'm like reading this and it's just like, I'm thinking Andrea Yates. I'm thinking like, I mean, it's just shit that it shouldn't have to be. And when every single day for months you tried, and you tried again, and you were still failed by every physician and every fucking hospital system, it's horrifying.
Bad. And of course, if the credible evidence from the experts is that she said God told me to do this, and that's credible, then she's legally not guilty, assuming that's real, not malingering. The other thing is this, and this is very interesting. If the husband, who is, I mean, look at him, his whole family is literally wiped out. I mean, it's terrible. If he supports her in a legal sense, not supporting what she did, agrees that she's ill and her brain didn't do this, that makes it even more shocking, again, what the DA may or may not be doing, because that gives the DA a lot of cover. That's not the right terminology, but if they want to believe that this woman is not guilty by reason of mental disease or defect, and they're concerned, and believe me, prosecutors think like this, it's the reality, public perception, okay? Woman killed 3 kids. Like, how do I say, you know, she's not guilty and what's going to happen to me? If the family of the defendant supports that conclusion, that gives them a lot of weight. You know, in the Queen's case that I had, they were very religious people, all 3 of them, both parents and the kid. He's doing much better, but he's hospitalized. The mother, who's one of the nicest people I've ever met, by the way, you know, she witnessed this whole thing, and she lost her husband, saw it happen, and in many ways lost her son too, in a different way. But she always believed that he was out of his mind in a legal sense, and was never supportive of prosecuting him in the sense of, you know, 25 to life in a New York State prison. And that has to carry weight with the prosecution. Now, this case was not as, I mean, unfortunately for the DA, you know, the Clancy case it's big. It's in the news all the time. This other case in New York, it was in the news when it happened. It was just like, you know, a terrible thing, but it wasn't, you know, emotionally 3 little kids. I mean, that's going to be worse. But if the husband is talking to the DA and telling them, not only do I not want this, but let me tell you about her. Let me tell you about her mental health problems. Let me tell you about all the missed signs, all this. Again, I don't know what the prosecution's expert is saying, but it's a little surprising, without knowing more, that they would be, the outcome here is a trial and sending her to a prison for the rest of her life, given all of these issues. But in all fairness, you know, we don't know what their experts have said and whether they find any flaws in the defense report. And so whether that's credible, but there were just so many red flags in this situation. And with the support of the family and the lawsuit, I'm just, I don't know that this is the kind of case that probably should proceed to trial. It's my understanding that she's very well represented by
Yeah,
Kevin
Mr. Reddington.
And he's one of the best attorneys in Massachusetts, clearly knows what he's doing. And at least, she's certainly very well represented. So whatever the outcome, whether it's a trial or the prosecution eventually capitulating in the sense of recognizing that this is better suited for civil commitment, we'll have to wait and see. But, at least they have means and are well represented. Not everybody has that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that it's important conversations that should be had. And I felt like it was just so eye-opening for me, because I remember when this happened in this case, and just knowing that I don't know Lindsay personally, but I know nurses who know Lindsay personally. And it was so tragic to me that I said, there's more here. I know that there's more here. She's worked there for a decade. Like there's something for me. I knew that it was so tragic, and she did it. I'm not saying she didn't do this. I know clearly that
She did. I mean, there's no question.
She did it. But I just knew that there was more. And then to read what the family has filed civilly, I just cannot imagine. And that lines up very succinctly with what the nurses who knew Lindsay, that I know, knew about her and her personality and how she was. And I feel like it was a failure for that family, for that entire family, our mental health system, our sectioning. Potentially she should have been, when she went to that last hospitalization at Mass General, that should have been a involuntary commitment versus a voluntary commitment, and then her being able to sign herself out. And maybe that could have changed, but the outcome is unimaginable. And my prayers are always with Patrick and for Cora, Dawson, and Callum, and Lindsay.
Part of it too, from a lawyer's perspective, prosecutor in this case, you have to play this out in your mind. Okay, let's have a trial. Okay. It's not going to be difficult to establish the act of what happened and whose physical body was responsible for that. That's open and conceded by the defense. In a psychiatric case, it's not an either or, it's she did it, but not her mind. But one of the things prosecutors have to play out here is to say, am I going to really, in front of a jury, examine the husband about this? Not so much the act. I mean, that's horrifying to even think about. But a skilled defense attorney, of which we're dealing with here, is going to establish through the husband that there was all these red flags and warning signs of illness and this and that. And you're going to have a situation where you're going to have a jury sobbing, okay? And they're going to see the husband and realize, although he may not literally say it, they're going to realize that he believes that she was mentally ill to the point where she was not criminally responsible. And as a prosecutor, again, pending what their own experts are going to say, if they have some theory that this is all convenient and made up, which doesn't appear to be, at least when you see what's out there so far, I don't know why you even want to put yourself in a courtroom in that position. And that's going to be a hell of an argument to have to make in summation that, we recognize that, she has various forms of mental illness. We're not minimizing postpartum depression. We're not minimizing her cries for help, but, she appreciated right from wrong and was aware of the consequences of her action. and she's guilty of intentionally doing this. It's not a frivolous argument. I'm not suggesting it is, but as a prosecutor, I don't know that I want to make that argument, and I don't know that I want to conduct that trial, and I don't want to know that I want to do those examinations, again, assuming I don't know what their experts are telling them. And if, I mean, look, clearly the prosecution expert is not telling them, I agree with the defense expert, because if that
Right.
was the case, there would be a plea of not guilty by reason of mental disease or defect, and we wouldn't be having even these discussions.
Correct. And then it will be
Maybe-
the battle of the experts. But I think that the what would make or break, just in you, like after hearing you, Mr. Bederow, is, you know, Patrick was her husband was the one who went back to the house, and like that would be just devastating, not only to hear him, but hear his recount, to hear his opinion. And he does stand by his wife was ill. And I just don't know if that would be good for our like for the jury or for trying to win this case.
These are the worst cases. Okay. And I think about it again, because I think about my own one, which is not resolved, about what if there's a disagreement? I mean, what if we have a trial? Okay. And what lawyers in that situation, like in an opening statement, you're going to be talking about, yeah, in a physical sense, the client, you know, like in the case I'm dealing with, you know, a 5-year-old brother, you know, my own father, my father's girlfriend. I mean, but in mind, he wasn't there. And you're the panic as a lawyer, the stress you have is the jury going to even pay attention once they know you're conceding the act? Right. I mean, it's so horrifying. And, you know, and again, there are all these kind of nuances, and I don't know the Massachusetts procedure on this, but in New York, for example, like traditional second degree murder, most murder is second degree. In order to be first degree, there has to be special circumstances that elevate it. So one of them in New York is if there was more than one victim. So in this case, clearly in the Clancy case, assuming it's the same, it's a first degree murder indictment because there are 3. And it's very interesting. These cases often would lend themselves in the right circumstances to a bench trial because, you know, there's so much emotion that you can be concerned about. But, you know, in New York, you can't have, if it's a first degree murder, it has to be by jury. This goes back to when New York used to have the death penalty, which they don't have.
Oh.
We're kind of locked into a jury trial, even if we wanted to do a bench trial. I don't know if that's the case in Massachusetts or not, but
no, I don't think so.
The last thing you want to do as a lawyer is try a case like this and have to argue and win by sending someone to a hospital. There's no win here. From the lawyer's perspective, great job. You got a result that's better, but nobody wins. I just, you know, hopefully if her defense is valid, which at least on the surface it appears to be, you hope that the prosecution will, you know, dig deeper and reach that conclusion, or you're going to have one of these awful trials, which I wouldn't even watch. I mean, it would be.
I couldn't. I can't do kids. Yeah. I can't. I wanted to read it from like her perspective as like just being a nurse and like relating in certain way as a mother, as a nurse. And then, and I wanted to see where the story went, right? Like how did these set of facts occur and in what order? But I cannot, for me, with the tragic outcome and how these deaths occurred, I can't do it for my own, like, I can't, I get too close to it and it makes me sick.
There is nothing worse, you know, in a case like this. You know, you still have to do due diligence, obviously. And you get discovery and you get crime scene photographs. And when you see crime scene photographs of little children
Yeah.
It shakes you to your core, and it's horrifying.
Yeah, I couldn't. Yeah, that's not for me, Mr. Bederow. That's why I stay mental health and wounds. Okay, I can't do PD because I get like I can't do oncology and I can't do PD. Okay, I could do geriatrics, I could do mental health, I could do med surge, I could do all the things, but I cannot. For me, like I can't see children unalive. It makes me like I will not sleep for a week over it, or I'm gonna have like I take it home. I take it too hard.
When you see them unalive in a
Yeah.
unnatural way, it's
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. God bless you. And I'm so, and for that case, that's still pending with you. Like, and a 5-year-old, it's just like, it's not supposed to be that way. And it's terrifying. And it's devastating. And it's like a human condition, right? That you're looking and saying like, what has gone wrong, especially when there are these instances like you're saying, and we're alluding to, of it's the mental capacity, it is that and reason of insanity or mental defect versus an actual choice that you made. And I think that if you are able to gain your capacity back and you're able to have, you come out of that at any point, can you imagine the feelings of the perpetrator, because you have to live with that for the rest of your goddamn life, whether you took your child's life, whether you took your little baby brother's life, whoever's your parents' life, whatever you've done, if you are able to come out of that and actually regain alert and oriented ×3, hello, like holy shit.
The other thing is this, and again, because these cases, they are very formulaic. I mean, they're horrifying for their own reasons, but they're very similar. What would happen at Clancy's trial, and certainly if mine was, I mean, we turned over to the prosecution thousands and thousands of pages of mental health records from Bellevue, Rikers Island, and this and that, because people they don't just go to jail. I mean, they are like heavily medicated, and they have to be stabilized, and I'm sure in Clancy's case, they have turned over, a forklift, dropping off, a box of saying, here you go, give this to your expert and do what you want to do. And the other thing, and this can be very concerning too for the defense, and because regular people may not understand this, it has to be explained. The issue is, your mental well-being at the time of the incident. It can change after months and months of treatment. And you'd be surprised how, some of these people, if you talk to them now, they might have been out of their mind and done something terrible way back when, but you try to have a conversation with them now and you say, that guy sounds totally normal.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, medication can work depending on certain things. And, that's also part of the concern is that, well, this person looks normal, so like they must be faking. They're having a normal conversation. The people who are mentally ill, they don't necessarily sit in the corner and rock back and
all
forth.
the time. Yes.
Mumble and talk about, what Jesus told me to do today. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, that is so true. And you've seen people decompensate. You've seen people also even out and be treated appropriately and be diagnosed and be treated with, for the first time, sometimes medications that, had they been treated with that medication or that regimen and in the way in which they were after this event, could that have been preventable? You just look at all the different aspects and it's tragic. I hate to end on that note. So let's end on Patriots. Let's go back to bringing the heat. We are thinking heat, even though we are so cold, the coldest that we have been in a long time. We are frozen to death.
Tomorrow, nice 80 degrees. Can't wait.
Son of a gun. What time are you leaving?
Early? No. I have court tomorrow. This wasn't the best planned trip. I have to go out there. It's kind of like quasi. There is some business, but it's also stretch it a few extra days. But no, I have actually court tomorrow, so it's
Okay.
kind of like a night flight, but I'm gonna get 2 hours back on the back end. So
You sure will. When you land, you'll be back to the future, and that's always a good thing.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And again, I'm just gonna let you all know, lovies. Mr. Bederow, say it one more time. Do you remember your scores for our Patriots and the 60th Super Bowl tonight, 6:30?
27-24, Super Bowl number 7. Write it down.
Write it down. Mr. Bederow picks and Nurse Kim picks is 27-20, our New England Patriots 7th Lombardi. Thank you very much, Mr. Bederow, for joining me this morning for a Super Bowl Sunday service. You're the best to ever do it. I love your face. We'll see you soon.
Enjoy. Bye.
Bye. Have fun in Arizona. All right, lovies. Hi. So listen to me. He is the best. Thank you, Mr. Bederow, for showing up for us as usual. I did want to say to you, I did not know that I was doing Sunday service this morning because we had a miscommunication and our wires got a little screwy. So I was in the midst of putting all of the names into the spinny wheel. The spinny wheel of what, you're asking? The Nurse Kim Falcon 5 weekend at Meatball Morrissey 6, Sketty Stain in Laconia, March 13th to 15th. Okay. If you had sent a Venmo before I was criminally activated in some conspiracy, I have emailed them. They still hate me. Your name is still in. Don't worry. Whether we get it or we don't give one shit. Your name is in. If you did put a $40 to Cash App, that has been calculated. Your champion numbers and your entries are in. If you also sent it to PayPal, I got you. Okay. That, thank Christ, is coming through. So it's 10:37. I need an hour or an hour and a half, because why? You know me. Okay. It's slow. It's tiny buttons pressing. I'm going to be on here by 12. And what we're going to do is talk shit. I'm going to send Meatball Morrissey an actual text message too, to see if she could maybe jump on with us and tell us how the invitations, how the gift baskets, how your Falcon 5 t-shirts will be arriving to you to get here in style. Okay. So today is our day, February 8th, 2026, a day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad, in the name of our Father and of the Son and of Drake May. Amen. Love you, babes. Be back at 12.
All right, great job on the news.
Thank you.
We will, Courtney and I will share what happened when we went to dinner last night, Sunday dinner, coming up. And as